Welcome back to Hannity. In just 1 month, John Boehner will step down as the Speaker of the House. So with Boehner's imminent departure, who's going to fill the void at the top of what appears to be an ever-divided House of Representatives? Joining us now, a man who just threw his hat in the ring. He is the House Majority Leader, Congressman Kevin McCarthy of California. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Congressman, 60% of Republicans polled this week feel betrayed by the Republican Party in Washington. Are they justified? I'm one of them.
Yeah, they are justified. I'm one of them, too. Sean, think of this. 50 times this House has repealed Obamacare. It goes to the Senate and it sits there. But you know what's a little different that started today? We've got reconciliation. And what that means is you only need 51 votes in the Senate.
You never defunded Obamacare. You have the constitutional power of the purse in the House. You guys never defunded it, never had any teeth.
Sean, wait 1 second. Reconciliation, by getting a budget in the House and the Senate, allows you to take it through with 51 votes. Watch what happened in the Ways and Means today, and watch what's happened in the next 2 weeks. The leading Democrat in Ways and Means said you just gutted Obamacare, because that's the best thing I heard today in Congress. And that's going to pass and get to the Senate. But I'm frustrated too. Look what happened with Iran, where the Senate can't change a nuclear option to protect a nuclear-free world.
All right, let me ask you some specific questions.
Please.
Give me a grade for John Boehner. Let me put up on the screen. Since he's been the Speaker of the House, the debt has gone up. Since he's Speaker, he's a Republican, limited government, $4.1 trillion. Look at the amount of money Republicans funded for Obamacare since he's been Speaker under his leadership, $209 billion. I mean, you were there as Majority Leader. Do you bear any responsibility?
I bear responsibility. But, Sean, I came here 1 year ago, and let's see what we've been able to do. When I came into office, our deficit was running each year at $1.4 trillion. Now it's about $400 billion. That's the fastest decline almost than ever in America's history.
That's still almost as high as Bush's highest year, though. Let's be honest.
But it is honest, but let's be honest, who's in the White House? Think of this. My first day on the job as Majority Leader, I got booed when I went to the microphone by the Democrats. Why? Because I told them they were not going home until we passed a border security bill. You knew what was going along that border. And you know what was more important? We're going to hold this president accountable for his lack of dealing with it.
Grade, yes. Give me a grade for John Boehner as Speaker of the House. Give me a grade.
I think John Boehner deserves a B-. Because the one thing I will tell you, now look, you may disagree with me.
Yes.
He won a majority. We've got the highest margin we ever had before. We lowered the deficit within there. But you know what? There is a lot more. We passed 300 bills this year, but you look into the Senate, they haven't moved.
But let me.
There's a frustration.
I agree with you on the Senate, and Mitch McConnell deserves his share of responsibility, as do Republican senators. But I'm not talking about the Senate. Let me ask you this: you voted 50 times to repeal Obamacare, but there's a constitutional power you guys have that you don't use. And it seems all Obama has to do is mention, we're going to shut down their government and blame Republicans. You fund Obamacare. You fund executive amnesty, which you told us, the whole Republican caucus told us they would stop if we would elect the Senate last year.
Sean,
they funded it. They funded it, and you're about to fund Planned Parenthood.
No, Sean, amnesty is not going on. The courts has stopped that. So there's no funding there. And there should not be as we go forward.
But in February, didn't you guys end up funding it because you passed the omnibus, you gave up your leverage?
Sean, no, because it was the courts had put a stay on it. So there was no funding going towards that.
Okay.
Now look, the question I think you really want to ask me is, how am I going to be different? What are you going to see differently?
I love how you asked my questions, but go ahead. That was one of my questions. Go right ahead.
I knew you'd want to ask it. What you're going to see is a conservative speaker that takes a conservative Congress, that puts a strategy to fight and win. And let me give you one example. Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened had we not fought and made that happen.
That's something good. I give you credit for that. I give you credit for sequestration. I give you credit. I'll give you credit where credit is due. But here's what every conservative wants to know.
Yes.
Are you willing to defund Obamacare and use your constitutional authority? Are you willing to use the power of the purse to defund Planned Parenthood? Will you use the power of the purse to stop the power grab of this president through the use of executive amnesty, ignoring our laws and our Constitution? If you're Speaker, will you go into your conference and say, this is what we should do, we need to unite together?
I will unite them, and yes, we'll do it. But you know what?
You will do those.
We're not going to do it when we have one day. This is what we're going to do, Sean, and we're not going to be able to do it alone. We're going to put a strategy together, just as we do a select committee on Planned Parenthood. So we go out across the country, and they see. The president won't even watch those videos. The Democrats won't watch those videos. We need America to watch those videos. And you know what? We need your help as well. We need to come together.
Listen, if you guys fight for that, Ted Cruz was on earlier. Last night we had the House Freedom Caucus members on. And I asked Ted, and I asked the members, I said, wait a minute, tell me if I'm wrong, because John Boehner actually said, let's see, it's unrealistic. I'm a false prophet. We never had a chance to defund Obamacare. We're spreading noise. It's a fool's errand. He's attacking conservatives for saying, use the constitutional authority you have. All of these members say that you have the ability to do that. Do you agree with them? It's just a matter of uniting together and engaging in that fight? Do you agree with that?
We have the ability to do it, but we have to have a strategy to be able to win it.
And here's the next question.
I'm ready to
You'll
fight,
do that.
but I'm not in for a fight for the sake of fight. Yes, Sean, you have known me. You have watched me. Sean, I came in here in 2006 when we were in the minority. Who traveled the country recruiting people to defeat the Democrats? Who created Young Guns? Who wrote Pledge to America? John, that was me.
I agree with all that. And there hasn't been a vision.
Okay.
I suggested one in 2014. Let me ask you this. When Boehner said these are false prophets, those were promises Republicans made. I find those comments despicable he made over the weekend. Am I right?
Look, I do. I am the Ronald Reagan 11th commandment. I don't speak ill of any Republican because you know what? Every Republican should have a voice here.
All right.
And that's going to be the fundamental difference. I believe in the bottom-up strategy. Look, we need to change this country. Too many people in Washington care about power and institutions.
All right, stay there,
and not about changing the
Congressman.
lives of every day.
And welcome back to Hannity as we continue with House Majority Leader. He'd like to be the Speaker of the House, Congressman Kevin McCarthy. All right, I want to go back. What I have heard on the issues, the four big issues for me, defunding Planned Parenthood, defunding executive amnesty and immigration, defunding Obamacare, and this Iranian deal is an unmitigated disaster that will lead to a modern-day Holocaust. On those four issues, if Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House, will you tell conservative America tonight that you will fight to the end, that you will encourage every member to defund on all of those issues and use that power of the purse? Are you willing to go that far tonight?
Yes, the answer is yes. But I'm going to do it with a strategy. And you want to know how the strategy is even playing out? Watch what we're passing when it's dealing with Iran just this week. Meehan has a bill. Well, do you know there are 80 judgments against Iran for almost $44 billion because of their terrorist action of killing Americans? We're passing a bill that says none of that money of the $150 billion that the president's held here that he's going to send to Iran can go there without paying those judgments. Those were court cases in America that stood up of people who have been murdered from the terrorist acts of Iran. They need to pay that.
All right,
that would be that much money out of being spent. Yes.
John Boehner referred to Louis Gohmert as, I can't even say it on the air, a blankhead. Here we have a Freedom Caucus that has a lot. They could stop you from becoming Speaker. Are you going to include them in power sharing? Are you going to bring in solid conservatives around you from the Freedom Caucus to be part of the leadership?
I'm going to bring in everybody. And my understanding is that you had them on the air last night, and they came up and told me when you asked them to say one word about me, a lot of them said he's listening. He's
they did
fair,
say that.
He's inclusive.
I was surprised because you are a part of leadership that they were that nice to you, and I'm not being critical.
Now, wait a minute, Sean. Why are you surprised?
Because you're very closely tied with Boehner, and I feel you give Boehner a B minus. I give Boehner a D minus in a lot of ways because I think he's failed on major promises.
Sean, let's be fair though. If you judge him on what he moved out of the House, I think you would change his grade. But I'm not here to argue with that. But the thing I will tell you, everybody gets elected on their own. And the
You're
one
right.
thing that you're going to find, the speaker changes the culture. And the culture I'm going to change here is I'm going to make members closer to who they represent.
All right,
that
last
the people
question.
believe this is their government.
And if you get elected Speaker, Boehner wouldn't take my calls for the last couple of years.
Have I ever not taken your call?
No, you two, you've taken my calls. Are you going to duck and dodge if it's an uncomfortable issue? You'd come on the program regularly.
I'll make this pledge to you, good, bad, or indifference, because if I'm fortunate enough to become Speaker, the next 3 months are very difficult. It's a short amount of time to put a strategy in. We have unbelievable things in front of us. But I'll come on every single month if you want or more, and you hold me accountable.
All right.
Because I'm going to hold myself accountable, but more importantly,
We
cannot solve this alone. We need to join together.
Hey, if you guys do these things, I will run up the hill with you, and so will every conservative in the country. They want you guys to fight. All right, thank you for being with us.
You want to fight to win.
I
Okay.
agree. We got to fight. We got to win. We got to change the country. The country's going down the tubes. Thank you for being with us, Congressman. Appreciate it.